Rapidos, worldwide fans of the planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. I'm Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program once again, Enfuegotainment. And much like a character in this film, I've just been kind of hiding in, the whole self-quarantine, social distancing, just staying the hell away from everybody. Feeling good, but definitely don't want to take any chances, and plus, no work for the foreseeable future, at least at the day gig. And so yeah, more time to watch, review, all of that fun stuff, and some details at the end of this video coming about some ways that you can enjoy even more content from yours truly. But yes, you can just call me Fuego for short, and this is a Fresca Fuego review for none other than 7 Stages to Achieve Eternal Bliss. Quite a title, right? Well, it actually used to be almost twice as long, so there is that to keep in mind. But being a Rapido Fuego review, I'm not going to go into my typical tropes of bueno, malo, and feo, which is where for larger, more deep dive reviews, I like to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, hence the, silly grade school Spanish angle there, and so on and so forth. But yeah, guys, this is a very strange dark comedy, and I'm a big fan of films of that nature. I like when stuff, implements some elements of horror, but does go, into comedic directions. And more often than not, if you're familiar with my stuff from the horror show, you've probably seen my just affinity for horror when it sprinkles in comedy, it almost like it's an ebb and flow sort of situation. But then there's also comedy films that just sprinkle in horrific elements, whether it's death of characters, over-the-top violence and situations and things of that nature. And so yes, this is not appearing on the horror show because this is definitely a comedy with some just weird horror elements sprinkled in there. And if you've seen the trailer, which is what brought me to this film, you see none other than Taiki Waititi, who I have adored long before he actually came into just the mainstream consciousness with stuff like, What We Do in the Shadows and, Thor Ragnarok and, even more recent stuff like, The Hunt for the Wilder People and stuff. But I've been on board since the Flight of the Conchords days, Eagle vs. Shark. I've been a big fan of Dude for a long time, and I love the fact that he's getting, additional acclaim with stuff like Jojo Rabbit, probably his most respected, critical work up to this particular point. I mean, Oscars, he won one. It's crazy. It's awesome, right? And so, yeah, when I see him as this big, bearded cult leader, and he's got this little bullseye drawn on his forehead and stuff, and it's essentially premise-wise about this couple who happens to move into a home where apparently there was a cult leader played by Taiki, who only appears in a few scenes in the movie, so don't go into this expecting like a large role from him or anything like that, because, he was probably on set for a day, maybe 2, because there's something with a bus, which is pretty funny and very creepy Manson family-esque, something of that nature. But yeah, his cult leader, this guy, apparently just decided to go and kill himself in the bathtub of this apartment in LA that this couple from Ohio has just recently moved into. And the girlfriend, who is played by, I forget the actress's name, but for me, she will always be half of Garfunkel and Oates, who did Sports Go Sports and various other hilarious things. And I know they've both gone on from their musical comedic sensibilities into doing various acting roles and stuff, which is pretty dope. But she is essentially our role, and she's cute and charming and just kind of quirky in a weird way and stuff. But her other half, that she has a very odd relationship with, despite the fact it's supposed to be romantic, it's got this odd playfulness to it where they're more like buddies than lovers and stuff. And as the film goes on, you find out that's because they've known each other for like their lifelong friends that became, romantically involved and stuff. But so they have moved from Ohio to LA because she has taken on this advertising job, and it's like her dream job and stuff. But boyfriend is just sitting at home pretty much in a robe the entire damn time, and he's got some motivational issues, and he's trying to find a job, but is he really trying? And he starts putting together birdhouses at one particular point. But really, the story takes off when the first person shows up at their apartment, climbs in the window no less in the middle of the night, gets in the bathtub, and commits suicide. Because apparently the hot thing to do in this particular cult is to go into that bathtub and kill yourself, just like the original cult leader did. So that's the thing, and with this in mind, you can probably just be like, okay, this could veer into some very dark territory, but it does keep a relatively light-hearted tone throughout pretty much the entirety of the movie, despite what would be considered by some as quite offensive humor. I've got pretty thick skin at this particular point, so it takes a lot to shock me, and even when I am shocked, it's more of the mild variety. And but yeah, this one, I mean, I love movies like Very Bad Things, where there's death involved and it's kind of played for laughs. That's definitely on the darker side compared to a film like this. Problem is that despite a very cool rotating just bunch of cameos from Michael St. Michaels, from Greasy Strangler, bullshit artist, to you know, Brian Posehn is in there. Dan Harmon's actually got a pretty sizable role, and he brings some laughs, and that is one thing that this is, for better or for worse, and if I was doing Bueno, Malo, and Feo, this would probably be a Malo, is that despite the amusing just setup of this, and the fact that, as spoiled, I guess, in the trailer, this couple eventually starts to become a little obsessed with this cult leader, and they eventually start assisting these people coming into their home with their suicide. They even start making this Bliss juice, which is like just a bunch of household chemicals that they're just like giving, you know, little like Dixie cups to people to just make it easier and quicker and whatever. But Dan Harmon is this cop who shows up repeatedly, this detective, as he constantly says. But being LA, you know, everybody, even those in law enforcement and in pretty much everything, there's a joke that everybody has a elevator, you know, pitch. Everybody has a script or is trying to break into the industry, even if they're not working within it directly just yet. That's why people go out there, you know, unless you were born there, born and raised and stuff. Pretty much everybody I know who moved to LA was trying to do something entertainment related, whether it was in film, television, music, whatever. It's an epicenter for all of that. And so this movie, which may be a little off-putting to some, is it's very inside baseball. Of course Dan Harmon's character has a script, you know? Of course he is trying to coerce our lead lady into just, you know, putting her feelers out and trying to find somebody that can help him show it to Wesley Snipes, who is how, you know, he's like, every time I'm writing as myself, I always envision being played by Wesley Snipes. It's funny, and there are some laughs in this, and for somebody like me who is familiar with industry stuff and has kind of worked in it without being in it, you know, being in the journalistic and entertainment correspondence side of things in comparison with, you know, I have story ideas and scripts I've, you know, tried polishing and developing here and there and stuff, but, you know, more so than anything, my familiarity is what I know from people who work within it and from my time covering it as, you know, somebody not so much looking on the outside, but not as directly involved in the creationary process, more in the coverage process. And so it's very inside baseball in that regard, where some of the humor is going to be off-putting to some, not even so much off-putting, it's just not going to land. And when I was watching this with my lady, she was kind of not very amused by a lot of it, and dare I say, even I wasn't really amused by all of it. There's some laughs that hit, and I must say, you know, one bueno to at least throw out is that it is visually striking at times. There's a few really weird kind of psychedelic out sequences of sorts, almost dreamlike sequences, and a movie from a few years ago that I really dug, Dave Made a Maze. This can't even hold a candle to it, but some of the visual aesthetics and the approach and stuff I found to be very creative and you know, relatively cool in that regard. And so Taika, when he's in there, he definitely brings some laughs, but once again, not a large role, and the couple's just a little strange at times, and they're quirky but not that amusing. It just comes off as a little weird, I guess. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Red Team Go. Is this one that I can recommend wholeheartedly? Not really. This is one that I VOD'd, so, you know, I did give it a proper rental. It's not on any streaming services just yet, not even on, like, Redbox yet, but I'm sure everybody is going digital right now as opposed to wanting to go and handle a Redbox that God knows how many other people's germs have been on and stuff. It's probably why I haven't been to the box lately, you know, because that is where, for stuff that, you know, when we do get screeners for the horror show, or back when we used to get press screenings, which who knows when those are returning with the current state of the industry and stuff. But nonetheless, this is definitely one that I would, if you have like 90 minutes to kill and you think that the premise sounds amusing enough, I feel like you would have enough fun with this. But Was it that incredibly memorable? Not particularly, and at the end of the day, and at the end of the film, I was relatively unsettled by what they chose to do with the ending. Without spoiling anything, yeah, I was, dare I say, bothered. I was just like, oh, interesting where they went with this. And some may interpret the ending in a way that I didn't, in a more positive fashion. I personally didn't. So, but once again, this is my humble opinion, as I all too often say on this, and art is subjective, so just keep that in mind, everybody. So, I have been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. How can anybody not be kinda just freaked out about the world right now? And I have been a little less vigilant in social media because of that. But a week from today, on April 1st, I am officially starting my Patreon. And yes, there are other Patreons that I have contributed to and will continue to, and those are their own thing, and I'm not going to really go into much beyond that. But if you have something that you would like to see me review, there's going to be a just very small, just kind of contribution, almost like a little proverbial tip jar. And if you want to dictate a little bit more and stuff like that, there's going to be more options. So yeah, a week from the filming of this, on April 1st, stay tuned to my social media, because you will find both an announcement video here on my YouTube, and you will also find like links to it if you just want to, show a little support, man, because yeah, the work has been significantly lessened for not just myself, but for lots of other creatives, and that's why many are migrating in this direction even more than we saw before. But yes, if you haven't liked, shared, and subscribed here on the YouTube, which is not going to be affected in any way, porfa y gracias, it means a whole hell of a lot. I've done a lot of Star Wars coverage in the last year. That's kind of been my thing. Unfortunately, the Phoenix Film Festival, which we were going to be doing a lot of coverage on both my solo channel here and on the horror show, has been postponed to an indefinite new date. We also had panels we were lining up for the Phoenix Fan Fusion, which is what Phoenix Comic-Con used to be called. That has now been postponed till the end of September from Memorial Day weekend. So in a lot of ways, life is on hold, and the world is on hold, really. And it's giving us the opportunity to watch more, discuss it more, create more, and just share more just awesome palaver, as I like to say, about entertainment that I know all of us love. The horror show is not slowing down in any way, shape, or form either. We have so much backlog content. We're debating when we're going to get together for more filming as this hopefully gets closer to leveling out in certain areas of the country. We're here in Arizona, where stuff is serious, but there's worse areas of the country and the world to keep in mind about. And so prayers, positivity to all of them. But youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, that is the other place where you can find me. And also on the Willis Greedia YouTube channel, we had been doing for a long time a program called Show Business, Monday evenings live, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Myself, Chauncey K. Robinson, Lindsay Mimsy from My Two Cents of Nonsense, as I affectionately call him, and also CP, him being the showrunner and the main dude over at Willis Greedia. We're trying to reformat the show, and we think we're going to be getting together for a commentary this upcoming final Monday of March. So just keep an eye to, Will Escridia's YouTube for all of that information. So I've been Fuego. Y'all have been awesome. And until you see me again, when the reel of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego. Cinemigos, constant viewers and readers. Yes, both of you frequent this channel from time to time. But I'm so very hopeful that we get to share more of this palaver sooner rather than later. Till then. Peace. Stay safe.